Hello everyone, welcome to new tech tip video. My name is Zeeshan Baig and I'm cloud evangelist at DataNext Solutions. And today we are talking about protecting your serverless application on AWS. I'll go through AWS concepts and services, but the same concept could be applied on Microsoft Azure or other cloud platforms such as Google Cloud or Azure. So before dive into it, a serverless application, let's see a common architecture of serverless applications. Basically, you have your end user calling some kind of an API endpoint, and behind that API endpoint, you have some kind of a serverless functions like Lambda functions running, and these Lambda functions are talking to some database or DynamoDB or NoSQL database like MongoDB or somewhere to get the data. So that's a common architecture of working with serverless. Also, getting into it, services what actually we are protecting. So in my opinion, we have to protect four key elements and five is additional to it. First, we have to protect the identity. Okay, who is actually calling the API? So we have to protect the identity. Then we have to protect the code, like what data a code basically is running. On this API, we have to protect that. Then we have to protect the data basically coming from database. So make sure it's not exposed. Then we have to actually protect the infrastructure, the whole thing, API gateway, Lambda functions running. And then we have to monitor as well, like uh, how everything is working and if there are no security loopholes and so on. So identity, how to protect the identity? You can use actually services like AWS Cognito, which gives you the identity of who is calling the API. You can actually attach additional Lambda function, which is called authorizer function. And the purpose of the authorizer function would be that whoever is calling the API endpoint, AWS will trigger the authorization function first, and inside authorization function, actually, you will do a couple of logics. Basically, you can have your own business logic, get data from the other database, verify if the headers are matching or no, and based on the output of this authorizer function, it will grant access to this Lambda function, basically. So this authorizer function you can write two ways. Either it could return a policy, IAM policy format, or it could return a Boolean value. So the version 2.0 could return a Boolean attribute like true or false based on the business logic you have. So that's the way you can protect your identity using authorizer function or AWS Cognito function. How you protect the code, basically what you are calling basically. So in API gateway, there are like a lot of security features such as like input validation and other things you can do. So basically you can have like your input validation enable here. That request should be in certain format, certain JSON structure, and so on. And that's where you can protect, okay, the request is coming is valid to this API or not. How you protect the data? Data protection is basically your responsibility. So make sure you have encryption enabled everywhere. The request is HTTPS. And you can use services like input validations and all different combinations. You can use KMS and other things to actually protect your data. How to protect the infrastructure? You can enable rate limiting. So API gateway and Lambda functions, they both offer like a rate limiting. That's certain APIs could be called in certain duration, like 5,000 per second or something. If you need more than that, you can request AWS to give you more uh, basically bandwidth for these. So that's how basically you protect your API uh, uh, infrastructure. And how you actually monitor, there are like services called X-ray, which can go deep into like what Lambda function is calling, what database, what API is connecting to what Lambda functions. And so you can actually trace the trail of all the calls And also that's using X-ray, you can also protect your data as well. You can monitor the data activity. Plus there are like CloudWatch events, CloudWatch logs, and CloudWatch events, and all these things basically using CloudWatch. You can actually check which APIs are calling and who is calling what APIs, how many successful APIs you have. So in a nutshell, that's how basically you protect your serverless application. You have to protect your identity, who is calling your APIs. You can use Cognito or Authorizer. You can protect your code using input validation and X-rays and other things. Also, there are like few things like WAF, firewalls, and other services from AWS. Data protection, again, make sure encryption is enabled everywhere. Infrastructure, you can enable rate limiting. And logging, you can use services like X-Ray, CloudWatch, and other services. So hope you like this week's tech tip. Make sure subscribe and like, and let me know in the comments what you want to learn more about.